Welcome to match one of our Pauper League with Affinity. We are on the play, which is a rarity for me at the moment, it feels like. But this one is not a rarity. A hand we're probably going to need to mulligan. In fact, that's a pretty easy mulligan to be honest. One land, two really expensive cards, and a couple of 2-mana cards. Gonna have to mulligan down to 6 here. Okay, so we've got 2 lands here. That's not so bad. We can keep that. Opponent also won the mulligan to 6, so not so bad for us. Now the big question is what we are going to throw back here. Now as we don't have a red source, I think we might throw back a Galvanic Blast. Only having the other real consideration would be maybe to throw back the Gear Seeker, but I think only having a Frogmite as a threat in hand is gonna leave us short of aggro, so we're gonna get rid of one Galvanic Blast. We need our Springleaf Drum to actually cast our red sources, so we can't get rid of that. We need our Frogmite as well, and obviously we need lands. So we'll lead turn 1, Seal the Synod, Springleaf Drum, and let's see what our opponent is on. We have really good Delver matchups. We don't have very good Stompy matchups, I find. Okay, so Snow Covered Islands, a good start for us. Now if it's snow covered, that generally signifies Izzet Delver, which is a strong matchup for us in general. Of course I say that and we'll get our faces stomped in by it now, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, so what can we do here? So let's go. Play land. Play Frogmite. So our Affinity count's 4, so we can't cast Gear Seeker this turn, can we? No, we're 1 mana off casting our Gear Seeker, so we'll pass the turn to our opponent and we'll have Galvanic Blast up and we'll cast Gear Seeker next turn. Generally, we have a good matchup against Delver. Oh, okay. Blue-black Delver, potentially. Chainer's Edict. That's gross. That's not good for us. Okay. So, blue-black Delver, not nearly as good of a matchup as Izzet Delver for us. Okay, we're going to have to run Gear Seeker out into some potential hatred. If they have Chainers again, we are in deep trouble, unfortunately. There's always going to be the issue running a mulligan to 6. We're just going to be light of threats, unfortunately. Chainer's Edict again. Unfortunate. Okie dokie. So we're going to have to draw some threats pretty quickly to get back into this one. Thoughtcast wouldn't be a bad one off the top here. Darksteel Citadel would be a bad one off the top, unfortunately. Okay. Perhaps should have waited another turn just so we could potentially protect our Gear Seeker with a Metallic Rebuke. Unfortunately, we are just out of threats here. So Bonder's Ornament from our opponent. I can't tell if it's blue-black Delver or just blue-black Control here. Augur of Bolas, okay. Well, we can't even deal with that because we don't have a creature, unfortunately, to... And they've got Counterspell in hand now. Okay, so we'll pop out a window for revealed cards. Okay, not how I really wanted to start this league, to be honest with you. That's a little bit better, though. Flare Husk. Now, do I Galvanic Blast now, take care of the Augur of Bolas, while they don't have Counterspell up? I think that's probably the better play. As much as I would normally like to leave it open to see what else they will play, unfortunately they're just going to leave 2 mana up forever. So we're going to do it while they're tapped out. We have got Metallic Rebuke online as well to protect our Flare Husk. We've got a 20-turn clock out there. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, Mole Drifter, so no thank you, Mole Drifter. You may not, in fact, have that. You may, in fact, go all the way away with that. Drift on into the bin, Mr. Mole Drifter. Thank you kindly. And now we start our 20-turn clock. Oh, that'll speed it up as well. There we go. Doing things. Aggro plan. Okay, attack with Germ Token. Get 'em. I sense our very slow aggro plan is going to fail here, but hopefully we can back these 2 guys up in a couple of turns, maybe with some Mirror Enforcers, some Carapace Forgers, something like that. Put 3 cards in hand, but not doing anything. That's interesting. Oh, we did get a Mirror Enforcer, okay. Let's see if we can spark them to spend some mana. Hopefully tap them out of blue so we can get our Mirror Enforcer down. Not so much. So As they're not doing anything at the moment, I'm going to hold on to Mirror Enforcer. Okay. Now they're going to play all their mana. Bonder's Ornament. Okay, so I'm going to draw a card. I mean, this is the unfortunate reality that they're just going to be able to keep drawing an extra card every turn if we're not making them spend their mana. Okay, Augur of Bolas. Cannot, unfortunately, get past that at the moment. They are tapped out of black, though, and they did not actually get anything off Augur. They whiffed on Augur, which is good for us. Holding up Counterspell currently, though. Okay, so let's go Prism. See if they'll let us have Prism. Are they tempted to Counterspell our Prism? They are not. Are they tempted to Counterspell our next Prism? They are not. Okay, so we are going to suit up our Frogmite. Get in for 3, unless our opponent fancies blocking us. They do, interesting. And Ephemerate, okie dokie. So they're gonna get all kinds of value off of that. To preordain our opponent gets this time, okie dokie. That is gross. And we're going to keep Mirror Enforcer just because we know they have Counterspell on hand. There's no point jamming it directly into an open Counterspell. The hope is next turn we can wait for them to Ephemerate their Augur of Bolas forever and ever. And we can, if we can get 2 or 3 spells, we can cast it once. We can jam them until we can get one through their open mana. This is generally the plan with Burn when you're playing against a deck with lots of counters, is you just stack up a couple of cards in your hand to try and play them all in one turn, just to exhaust their resources. If you try and play them one at a time every turn, they're always going to have the mana they need. Okay, so they played their Preordain, and then they've Lightning Bolted our Frogmite. That's unfortunate. Oh, is this like 5 color nonsense? Unfortunately, I think we're just kind of out of luck here. Okay, that's actually 3 mana. That's... yeah, I don't think we're going to get very far in this matchup, unfortunately. They're just going to be able to hold up mana forever. I think it's... the only reason I haven't conceded yet is they haven't really presented us with any kind of meaningful threat. Once they do, I don't really feel the need to play this on, to be honest. And Muldrifter, okie dokie. Problem is they can tap out for Muldrifter and they still have 2 Bonder's Ornaments out, so they can just hold up Counterspell forever. I mean, they're sat on 2 Counterspells. Yeah. You know what, we'll play it out. We'll try and bait out a couple of Counterspells from them, see what we can do. Okay, Springleaf Drone, we may as well just run that out. Pass the turn to our opponent. And unfortunately, over the course of the next 5, 6, 7 turns, they're just going to slowly nudge us to death with their small creatures, it looks like. Cycling a land, getting a snow-covered island. Yeah. This, folks, is why Bonder's Ornament is a very powerful magic card for common. Just being able to continually draw and draw and draw every turn. It's just insanely powerful. I mean, you think they've seen 27 cards from the library, we've seen 18. That would be a large part of why they've won this game. Okay, let's Thoughtcast. Our opponent lets us have Thoughtcast, that's interesting. Player has, I guess their plan is just to counter anything we draw off of it, in fairness. Okay, Flayer Husk. Spring Leaf Drum again. But again, there's no real point running our Mirror Enforcer and our Metallic Rebuke out because they have multiple counter spells in hand. And roll cut. Okay, you know, really at this point I am just going to concede. We're not going to get enough density of spells through all the mana they're able to hold up, so we may as well pass. Go to game 2. They did not present a great deal of creatures. So how many Galvanic Blasts do we want to keep? We definitely want to take Temur Battle Rage out. We saw Chain of Edict, so Relic can potentially come in. Springleaf's always worse against removal heavy matchups just because you end up with less. As we were there, we were just completely devoid of creatures to actually combo with our drum. So we'll put in Relic for drum. We'll put in maybe a Pyroblast or 2. Do 1 Pyroblast, 1 Dispel, take out our Metallic Rebukes, and then put in a Reaping of Graves. I think that's as much sideboarding as we want to do. We don't want to over sideboard. But I think this is just unfortunately a pretty poor matchup for us. So I don't want to go overboard on sideboarding and just end up diluting the explosive potential of our deck. I think the way we win this in game 2 and 3 realistically is just to cast a whole lot of creatures really early on in the game. I think that's how we win. If we can dump out, 3 or 4 creatures by turn 3, overwhelm their ability to 1-for-1 us, then that may see us through to victory. I think that's realistically how we win this game. I mean, I shudder to think what nastiness our opponent has for us in their sideboard, but we shall find out. Yeah, I guess. It's not a great hand, and it's definitely not a super explosive hand. If this Fling was like a 1-mana artifact, I'd be a lot happier with this hand. Do we keep this? I feel like we probably do. If you ignore this Fling and the other, this was our like 6 card mulligan, I think I'd probably keep it. So we'll treat it in that vein. I think that would be a good mulligan to 6. So I tend to think it's worth probably just keeping at that point. So let's lead on C, pass the turn. Okay. Flayer Husk gets down, and Frogmite gets down. Okay. This is probably how we win this game, is just go Flayer Husk, Frogmite, Mirror Enforcer, and just get in as much as possible. So, let's play a land, play a Frogmite, not see it get countered, that's interesting. Let's attack with our creatures, get in for 3. Our opponent doesn't have a meaningful way to deal with that, that's good for us. We will play Prophetic Prison, see if they want to counter that. They do indeed. There's the counterspell from our opponent. And then we will play our Mirror Enforcer while they're tapped out. That's kind of what I was hoping for there. I would have loved to keep our Prophetic Prism ideally, but realistically we just need to present a lot of threats early on. You can see already now our opponent going into dig for answers mode. Ooh, 2 on the bottom for our opponent, that's good for us. Ash Barons, cycling presumably for black, I would imagine. Yeah, oh no, Snow-Covered Mountain, okay. So they are running 4 colours, that's very interesting. Okay. I'm presuming they're running Snow-Covered for Skred. That's the only thing I can really think of why they might want to do that. Play Frogmite. And pass the turn. And presumably they... Oh no, basically one cycling. I was expecting them to bolt something down then. Go and get a Swamp. Okay, what are they going to be doing? Gorilla Shaman. That's not good for us. And destroy our land. And destroy our land. So they're just going to nuke all of our lands, basically. Okay, so do I, at this point, then, fling? Should I have flung? Because even if I fling something at the monkey, they're still just going to continue to tap in response, aren't they? Okay. So they've got all of our lands. Okay, so our opponent nukes all of our lands and then just concedes. Attempting to send us a message, apparently. Okay. Message received, sir. Okay, well, we made it to game 3. Like I said, that's kind of how we needed to win a game, is just to curve out aggressively. In that vein, this hand is not strong enough to do that. We only have 1 land. If one of these ATOGs had been a land, I would have potentially kept this. But the problem is, if we never draw another land, we just go Darksteel Citadel, Navigator's Compass, and then watch our opponent slowly build up resources. So we're going to mulligan down to 6 here, see what we get. That's not ideal for us, to be perfectly honest. But I don't think we can go down to 5 cards and expect to win against a value-based, attrition-based deck. So I think we have to stick on 6. We're on the draw, so hopefully we can get... Ooh, that's the first time I've seen one of the new Thriving lands. So remind me, Thriving Isle enters the battlefield tapped. As it enters the battlefield, choose a colour other than blue. Add blue or 1 mana, and they choose red. Okay, so that's just a blue-red land. Okay, cool. Righty-ho. We will lead on Great Furnace, as we have 2 of them, so if they Mox Monkey us, we still have red mana available. I'm sincerely hoping they don't have a Gorilla Shaman, or I'm going to be a very, very sad man. Ponder from our opponent, that's... Okay, that's not too terrible, to be honest. Gorilla Shaman, turn 2 from our opponent would have been the worst possible thing to see. I think at that point I probably... Actually, no, I would just bolt it, to be fair, but it's still not great. And they've chosen black, so they have access to 3 colours now. Okay, so let's go... Prophetic Prism. Draw a card. Get another land. Pass the turn to our opponent. Okay, so we have Augur of Bolas. What will our opponent augur? Hopefully nothing. That would be optimal. Pyroblast. Oh, well that's... I'm not sure if Pyroblast is a good sideboard card against us. I'm really not. I really can't tell whether that was a good thing for them to sideboard or not. What do we do here? We can play Prism and bolt their guy. Or we can play Mirror Enforcer into a hand of 5 cards. Let's not do that. Okay. Okay, I think unfortunately though, because we're not doing that, because we're not presenting a meaningful clock, we are being quite slow here. I think that's the issue. I think last game we won because we were able to carve out aggressively. Now we're not carving out in any meaningful way, so I think that's our issue. Okay, I want to just pop this out to remind myself that they do have Pyroblast. One of the easiest mistakes to make when you're playing online, I feel like, is having a card revealed to you early and then them playing it like 5 turns later in the game and you not remembering they had it. So let's attempt to bolt their guy. This is mainly just to draw out counterspells and leave them tapped out on our turn. They do not go for it, so that's still good, I guess. So let's go for the Mirror Enforcer. Let's see what they have. I mean, I'm presuming they're just going to counterspell it. No, okay. So presumably we pass the turn and they just Chainer's Edict us. Preordained from our opponent. I would have thought if they had Chainer's Edict, they would just crack it off there. Okay, get a land. Okay. Chainer's Edict. Chainer's Edict. There we go. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to pop the graveyards out as well. Just because we do have Reaping of Graves, so we might very well be able to get them later in the game or something like that. Another land is not ideal for us. Okay, pass the turn to our opponent. So I don't think we're going to get there game 3. I think we lost our window. Our hand wasn't fast enough. Maybe I should have mulliganed to 5, but I always feel like a mulligan to 5 is just so low probability of success. Now we're going to run the Thoughtcast out. They will probably Pyroblast this, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, if we hold it for 4 or 5 turns, they're still going to Pyroblast it, so we may as well run it out there. Nope, there we go. Pyroblasted indeed. So we're probably looking at an 0-1 start to this league, to be perfectly honest with you. Our opponent's got a bit of a stranglehold on us now. We have no creatures. They can hold up mana for days. Once they play Bonder's Ornament, I may very well scoop. Okay, so let's go Gearseeker Serpent into Counterspell and Counterspell. Yeah, this is pretty much what's going to happen for the rest of the game now. We'll draw a threat, they will immediately counter it, and we will be sad about it. If we can sneak a Reaping of Graves in at some point, go get back a Mirror Enforcer or a Gearseeker, maybe we have a chance. I mean, we need to not draw land every turn. That would be better, to be perfectly honest. We've drawn our first 16 cards, we've managed to draw 8 lands, so that's kind of more than we would hope for. We only run 16, so generally you would hope not to hit 8 of them in your top, like, quarter of your deck. Oh, joy, Gorilla Shaman. Bugger off. Yep, you're still going to blow up a bunch of my lands, I know. Yep. At this point in the game, it doesn't really help him that much. Yeah, it lowers our affinity count. It means we can't win by, like, ATOG nonsense. Haha! Oh, there's the ATOG. Great. Okay, so play ATOG. I still don't think it was right to sideboard Hydroblast. Okay, that's Blue Elemental Blast. Great. So our opponent's just all the answers. Yeah. Okay, pass the turn. Well, this is not quite the exciting gameplay I had hoped for my first league back with the channel. But it does show the effectiveness of their deck. It's not a deck I've ever played against before. Archaeomancer. Yep, getting back Counterspell, presumably. Preordain, that's interesting. Okay, may as well bolt that down. Leaves them off threats, and it means they can't just nug us to death. I mean, presumably they'll play like a Muldrift or something next turn anyway, but try and get our Carapace Forger. Okay, we got Carapace Forger down. And they are dangerously close to just being able to flashback Chainless Edict, unfortunately. They may just play a land and then, yeah, flashback Chainless Edict. Nope, just straight up 1 mana Flame Slash. Why spend 7 mana when you can spend 1? Fair enough. Yeah, realistically, our only strong chance of getting back into this game is probably drawing our one of Reaping of Graves. Reaping the Graves, I should say. Well, that's not that. We are going to hold on to Navigator's Compass, though. Because what we want is a couple of cheap spells we can play in a turn to then hopefully play Reaping of Graves with 2 or 3 on the Storm count. Okay, Muldrifter from our opponent. Okay, Thoughtcast. Not a bad one. Go get ourselves a couple of cards. Probably get Pyroblasted in response. No, actually, interestingly. Play Frogmite. Play a Tug. And they counterspell our Tug. Fair enough. Well, we now have a 2/2. They have 20 life. This will go well. Realistically, now they have a threat down. Oh, okay, and Ephemerate. That's just disgusting. Now they have a threat down that they can kind of protect. Okay, Bond Atonement. That's enough of that. Okay. That's enough for us to just concede here, I think. You know what? No. We're not going to concede. We're going to see if we can sneak a Reaping of Graves in. Realistically, that's the only way we win a game now. It's just whether we draw it. We have 34 cards left in our library, so it's really whether we draw it or not. The problem is they're just going to draw far too many cards for us now, unfortunately. Land cycle. Go and get a island. And Gorilla Shaman. Well, that'll pretty much do it for us. Okay, we will wish our opponent GG's and tell them they have a cool deck and move on to game 2. Okay. Right then, I will see you guys in game 2 where hopefully we will do a little bit better.